Hello, Tungsten Miner here. Part 2 of the series on Brunel, a Railcraft immersive engineering mix-up. And I've made a little progress that I want to catch you guys up on. Let's jump in. Okay, first thing to say is obviously I now have some plants here. Managed to find some wheat growing wild and planted those in Agricraft crop sticks. And I've also managed to get some dandelions and crossbred them, I can see now, to get some hemp, which will be one of the foundational things for immersive engineering. And I'm pretty excited to have that because a lot of my other projects have been held back for the want of power. And hemp will be one of the things that's instrumental in getting started on that project with a windmill, which will be coming up pretty soon. I've got a bunch of other seeds in here, which I've run through the analyzer, and some of them are a little ways along, because I managed to find a village. So I have been doing a bunch of traveling, and the first sign of that, of course, is this road that I've managed to carve. This way heads down pretty much just to the coast, so you can see heads down to about here. And the other one heads off into this region over this way. And the important thing about that is a couple of mines that I've started. So this is a copper mine and a little bit of redstone. Let's head over to where I've started some iron mining. Okay, we have arrived now at the first of several bridges that I've built. Using pretty standard design that I have picked up in other servers. The important thing, though, is that one, it's one block off the ground, water, I should say, so that I can take a boat underneath. And then I've got more boats, MOAR boats, installed in this mod pack, which allows for automating things in a kind of similar way that you can do with Railcraft. So I'll need boats to be able to get under this bridge. The second is that it's not too terribly tall, which means when I start running Railcraft trains, they won't get slowed down a bunch by having to climb up and over the arch of a tall bridge. And in fact, I'll probably fill in that little gap over there with dirt to make it even that much smoother to get the trains over this bridge. So, carrying on towards my iron mine. One little stop along the way here. This spawn has turned out to be a particularly good one because it has a wide variety of biomes pretty close by. So obviously we started off in a forest. We can also, as very obviously, see there's a flower forest just over here. So I'll have easy access to flowers for dyes and pigments and things, which will become important later on when I get to Railcraft stuff. Over here, I've got a dark oak forest. Now it's pretty teeny tiny. But in the Brunel mod pack, this means I'm going to have access to lead and a little bit of uranium just underneath here. And you don't need a ton of lead, but you do need enough for making capacitors and batteries. And that can be a real problem if lead is very, very far away. So I'm really happy to have found this here. It turns out there's a couple of other dark forests that are not too terribly far away too, but this one's really nice. The second thing this is great for, though, is making a charcoal pit. So the recipe for charcoal in Brunel, get that up really quickly, is, well, you can't make it in the furnace, you'll notice. So no burning wood. You can make it in the coke oven, and that will get you a little creosote as well. Or you can use the charcoal pile from forestry. Or finally, you can break ash blocks, which is basically how the charcoal pit works. It turns these wood pile blocks, which are just 4 logs together, and burns them for a little while in a controlled fashion so that finally you wind up with these ash blocks. And when you break those, you get ash and charcoal, depending upon exactly how you went about making it. You'll get more or less of it. But here, what I can do is grow some trees, because of course that's the big input, and it takes 4 logs for one of those wood pile blocks. So you actually need a lot of wood to keep a charcoal production going. And this is going to be perfect because these humongous dark oak trees provide a lot of wood very close by to where I happen to be operating. So onward. Okay, getting to the junction. That bridge goes off to a chunk of land that I don't really have anything on yet at this point. That's just this little island up here. Might turn into an orchard, might turn into some farms, not real sure yet. over here, I've got another bridge that brings me across onto the chunk of land where the iron mine actually lives. And this one's a big enough bridge where I decided to put in some supports. Not that they're needed. This is Minecraft. But the road ends here, so now it's cross country all the way to the iron mine. And we're just about there. You can see the chest and crafting station and the hole in the ground. So ultimately, I will wind up building a similar kind of cabin to what I have back at my home base. But for now, I don't. And really all we've got going on down here is just a set of stairs heading all the way down to pretty much nothing. Eventually I'll feather that out and start making a proper mine of things, but that's kind of it for now. The only other thing really to talk about at this point is the map. I've spent a fair bit of time exploring on a raft. And why not a boat? What's a raft? Well, let's take a look. First, when we look at boats in this mod pack, no recipe. I'm pressing my recipe key and there are no recipes for these boats because we actually have a couple of other better options. So one is this motorboat from Immersive Engineering. You do need to provide it with fuel, but it goes a decent amount faster than your ordinary boat. That's not actually true, and that's kind of why these boats are disabled. These boats go so fast that this powered boat really isn't any faster. So to make it worthwhile to bother about producing fuel and making this complicated boat and all these sort of things, I've disabled all of these, and what you get instead in the early stages of Brunel are rafts. A little bit of string, a couple of pieces of wood, and you've got yourself a raft. Raft is indestructible, but it's a little bit slower than a boat. It's actually a lot slower than a boat, just barely faster than a walking pace for a player. But walking pace over water, which is still quite a lot faster than swimming. So they're better for getting around early game. But the boats that we have, one, of course, I've just talked about, and the other is this, where is it? Modular boat. So you need sheets of aluminum, and you get just an empty hull. Can't be moved, doesn't go anywhere, nothing to it. But if you drop a furnace in here and give it some charcoal or other fuel source, it becomes a motorboat and actually moves along at a pretty decent clip, pretty comparable, in fact, to the motorboat from Immersive Petroleum. And all of these come in different colors and can be installed with all sorts of different things. So you can put a seat in there, you can put paddles in there to row it yourself so you don't need fuel. You can even use a lead to hook one to the next and make a whole train of boats. You can even go so far as to put boat batteries in there to be able to transfer power from one place to another, fluid loaders and unloaders, and a tank to be able to transport fluids like gasoline back and forth different places. And you can even set them up with a chunk loader so that they can move autonomously or carry animals. There's a whole bunch of other things you can install. I don't remember them all off the top of my head, but really, really cool. So that you can have basically boats that will move anywhere around the world. And you can even use this mapping table to set up locations, waypoints that they are supposed to go between. And so you can have automated boats in very much the same way Railcraft lets you have automated trains. So I intend to give that a shot at some point in the future as well. But looking at my map here, I took a raft around the outside edges and did a fair bit of walking around the middle. So we can see I've built my iron mine just at the base of this mountain here. And iron is found deep down, so I'm going to drill this all the way down pretty much to bedrock. This is a dark forest over here, nice big swatch compared to the little one that I showed you earlier. So further away, but much larger. Probably this is where I'll put my uranium and lead mine. All spruce down here, so I can get a good source of nickel. This is regular oak and birch forest down here, more spruce over there. And that's kind of about it. I've got this continent I haven't explored down south here. Hopefully that leads me to some savanna and desert biomes and get more resources I need over there. And the nearest village I was able to find is way over here, which is where I found most of those seeds that I was showing you. So it turns out There are no gardens from Harvestcraft in Brunel, so you won't find them just growing around naturally. So you can either, one, find them growing in greenhouses in villages, or two, you can use the Agricraft system to crossbreed the plants. So, for example, if I want to make hemp seeds, the recipe for that is to crossbreed wheat, easy to come by, and dandelion, likewise, easy to come by, and that gives me hemp seeds. Growing the hemp seeds, of course, I get more hemp seeds and hemp fiber. The hemp fiber itself is used for making all sorts of useful things, most especially fabric, which is then used for covering wires, making maintenance kits, and windmill cells. And that's what I really want, is windmill cells. And that way I can get some electrical power and start graduating into the more advanced parts of the mod pack. But that's all in the future. So that's it for now. Talk to you later.